Ashford had never been the kind of town anyone moved to. People passed through it, glanced at its peeling storefronts, noted the rusting gas pumps leaning like old men in the wind, and kept driving. It wasn't marked on most maps anymore. Tucked between a forest that never seemed to end and a two-lane highway that rarely saw headlights after sundown. If Ashford had a pulse, it was faint, thready, and easy to miss. But on the night everything changed, the town was humming just slightly, just enough for someone paying attention to hear it. And Officer Nathan Hale always paid attention. Nathan had been on the force for 11 years, long enough to know every cracked sidewalk and burnt-out porch light in Ashford. But that night, when he pulled his cruiser up to the old Marwick House at 11:43 p.m., he felt something he hadn't felt since he first graduated the academy, an instinctive tightening in his ribs, as if his body knew to brace before his mind did. The 911 call that brought him there was short, garbled, and cut off after 9 seconds. A woman whispering, "Something's in the walls," followed by a thud, and what sounded like a chair scraping violently. Dispatch tried to call back. No answer. It wasn't unusual for Ashford to have prank calls. Teenagers got bored, parents got drunk. But the Marwick house had been empty for over 30 years. No electric bills, no visitors. The for sale sign out front had fallen off 8 winters ago and nobody had bothered to pick it up. So who called? Nathan stepped out of the cruiser and the air felt instantly colder. The house stood at the end of a cul-de-sac of dead lawns and sagging fences, its windows black, its siding warped and gray. He took a slow breath and approached the porch. Each step groaned under his boot. He knocked once, twice, no movement inside. But then he heard it, something like a low, dragging shuffle coming from deep within the house. His hand drifted to the grip of his flashlight. The Marwick place had no electricity, but a faint light flickered through a crack in the boarded window, as if someone were holding a candle that guttered in a restless draft. He pushed the door open. The smell hit first, mold, damp earth, and something sweet rotting beneath it. He swept the flashlight beam in an arc. The walls were stained with water damage, and the wallpaper had peeled down like decayed skin. "Police," he called, his voice steady. "If someone's inside, call out." Silence. Then, from the back of the house, a sudden thump. Nathan moved through the narrow hallway, boots crunching on broken plaster. He reached the living room and nearly froze. It wasn't the overturned furniture or the footprints in the dust that stopped him. It was the writing on the far wall. "Do not listen to the house." The letters were gouged deep, as though carved with trembling force. Underneath it, a second mine, fresher, the wood still splintered. "Stee." Nathan swallowed hard. The dragging sound came again, this time from the kitchen. He approached slowly. The smell grew stronger, like something fermenting. He nudged open the door with the flashlight. The kitchen was empty except for a single wooden chair in the center of the room. A landline phone lay shattered beneath it. The receiver dangled from its cord, swinging ever so slightly. Then his beam caught something that hadn't been there a moment ago. Wet footprints on the tiles, leading toward the basement door. Human footprints, but elongated. Stretched. As though the person who made them had too many joints in their feet. Nathan's breath fogged in the air. The house was getting colder. He clicked on his radio. "Dispatch. This is Hale at the Marwick residence. I've got signs of forced entry impossible." The radio cut out. Static hissed, loud enough to make him wince. A whisper threaded through the static, faint but unmistakable. "Nathan." He shut the radio off. The basement door creaked open before he touched it. Stairs descended into absolute blackness. For a moment he considered waiting for backup, but Ashford only had 2 other officers on duty, both dealing with a car accident across town. Nathan steadied his breath and stepped down the stairs, flashlight steady. Halfway down, the light flickered. "Not now," he muttered. The beam sputtered again, illuminating glimpses of concrete floor and rotting wood beams. The smell was overpowering now, sickly sweet. When he reached the bottom, the air felt thick. The basement was mostly empty, but the far wall caught his eye. Dozens of small holes punctured the plaster, arranged in strange looping patterns, like tunnels made by insects far too large. Something skittered behind the wall. Nathan aimed the flashlight at the sound. "Come out where I can see you." The wall bulged, as if something behind it pressed its weight forward. He stepped back instinctively just as the bulge moved across the wall, traveling the entire length of the basement in seconds. Something crawling, no, slithering inside the structure. Nathan backed toward the stairs. A soft, rhythmic tapping echoed from above, like footsteps moving on the first floor. Slow, heavy, deliberate. He wasn't alone in the house. He turned, sprinted up the steps, and burst into the hallway. The tapping stopped instantly. His flashlight beam swept wildly. Nothing. But the house felt alive now, breathing, creaking in a way that made his skin crawl. Nathan reached for the front door. It slammed shut. Every board on the windows quivered as though struck from the inside. Nathan grabbed the doorknob and twisted it hard. It didn't budge. A deep groaning sound rose from the walls. Something whispered beneath the floorboards like dozens of voices speaking in a language he didn't know. Then the lights flickered. Lights that shouldn't have worked. The house had no power, but every fixture buzzed faintly, glowing a sickly yellow. And then the hallway changed. The wallpaper writhed, pattern shifting as though seen through water. The floorboards stretched, elongating. When he looked behind him, the basement door was gone, replaced by a blank wall. The house was rearranging itself, trapping him. Nathan reached for his radio again, desperate. Static. Then a new voice came through, calm, female, too steady to be human. "You shouldn't have come." "Who is this?" Nathan demanded. The voice laughed, soft as velvet. "You heard me when you entered. You smelled me. You felt me. I am the house." Nathan backed toward the window. He grabbed a wooden chair and swung it with all his strength. The glass cracked, but then resealed itself, knitting back together like healing skin. He froze. "You can't leave," the voice said. "No one leaves until they're hollowed." Nathan's blood ran cold. "What do you want?" Silence for a long moment. Then company. The floor trembled. A crack opened beneath his feet and something wet and pale slithered out a hand. Too long, too jointed. Its fingers hooked around his boot. Nathan kicked hard, breaking free. He ran down the hallway and into the living room. The writing on the wall was changing, the letters rearranging themselves as though written by invisible hands. It took the Marwicks. "IT. We'll take you." He didn't want to know what it was, but he was about to find out. The ceiling groaned. Plaster rained down. Something enormous shifted above, crawling through the rafters, weight bending the beams. Nathan leveled his flashlight upward just as the ceiling bulged and split open. A face peered through, if it could be called a face. Its skin was translucent, stretched thin like wax paper. Its eyes were deep, black pits that absorbed the light. Its mouth opened too wide, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Its voice was the same soft whisper from his radio. "Stay." Nathan dove sideways as the creature dropped through the ceiling with a wet thud. It unfolded itself, limbs extending twice the length of a human's. Its spine curved unnaturally as it crawled toward him, head tilting like an inquisitive animal. Nathan bolted into the dining room, heart pounding. The creature's limbs clacked against the floorboards unnervingly fast. He grabbed a rusted fire poker by the fireplace and spun just as the creature lunged. He jammed the poker into its face. It didn't bleed, just recoiled with a bone-deep screech that rattled the windows. He ran. The house stretched again, the hallway elongated, twisting into impossible geometry. Doors multiplied, hundreds of them on every wall, opening and closing like mouths. One door stood still, a single red door at the far end. Nathan sprinted toward it. The creature shrieked behind him, its limbs scraping closer and closer. He threw himself through the red door just as its claws raked at his back. He slammed it shut. Sudden silence. The room was small, square, and lit by a single bulb swaying from the ceiling. In the center stood a table. On it lay a tape recorder, old, dusty, but switched on. The tape clicked and began to play. A man's voice spoke, shaking, terrified. "My name is Thomas Marwick. If you're hearing this, the house is awake again." Nathan froze. "It watches. It listens. It feeds. We tried to leave, but the house wouldn't let us. My wife, God, my wife, she disappeared into the floor. Like it opened up and swallowed her." Nathan swallowed hard. "It wants something living inside it at all times," the recording continued. "It doesn't need food, it needs fear. It tastes it, thrives on it. You have to stay calm, you have to stay quiet. If it notices panic, it gets stronger. If it smells terror, it..." A loud crash on the tape, scrambling, screaming. Then one final broken whisper. It hollowed me. The tape cut out. Nathan backed away from the table. The bulb flickered, dimmed, then burst glass raining down. The room went pitch black. A soft breath brushed against his ear. "Your fear is beautiful." Its spine curved unnaturally as it crawled toward him, head tilting like an inquisitive animal. Nathan bolted into the dining room, heart pounding. The creature's limbs clacked against the floorboards unnervingly fast. He grabbed a rusted fire poker by the fireplace and spun just as the creature lunged. He jammed the poker into its face. It didn't bleed, just recoiled with a bone-deep screech that rattled the windows. He ran. The house stretched again, the hallway elongated, twisting into impossible geometry. Doors multiplied, hundreds of them on every wall, opening and closing like mouths. One door stood still, a single red door at the far end. Nathan sprinted toward it. The creature shrieked behind him, its limbs scraping closer and closer. He threw himself through the red door just as its claws raked at his back. He slammed it shut. Sudden silence. The room was small, square, and lit by a single bulb swaying from the ceiling. In the center stood a table. On it lay a tape recorder. Old, dusty, but switched on. The tape clicked and began to play. A man's voice spoke, shaking, terrified. "My name is Thomas Marwick. If you're hearing this, the house is awake again." Nathan froze. The thing in the walls. It watches. It listens. It feeds. We tried to leave, but the house wouldn't let us. My wife, God. My wife, she disappeared into the floor. Like it opened up and swallowed her. Nathan swallowed hard. "It wants something living inside it at all times," the recording continued. "It doesn't need food. It needs fear. It tastes it, thrives on it. You have to stay calm. You have to stay quiet. If it notices panic, it gets stronger. If it smells terror, it..." A loud crash on the tape. Scrambling, screaming. Then one final broken whisper. "It hollowed me." The tape cut out. Nathan backed away from the table. The bulb flickered, dimmed, then burst glass raining down. The room went pitch black. A soft breath brushed against his ear. "Your fear is beautiful." He spun, swinging the fire poker blindly. It struck something solid. The creature hissed. Nathan pushed against the wall, feeling for the doorknob. When he found it, he ripped the door open and stumbled into the hallway, which was now outside. Cold night air hit him like a slap. He fell onto the front lawn, gasping. The Marwick House stood behind him, dark once more, windows dead, boards still in place as if nothing had changed. His car headlights were still on. Nathan scrambled to his feet and sprinted to the cruiser. He threw himself inside and slammed the locks. His hands shook as he jammed the keys into the ignition. The engine didn't turn. The radio crackled. The same soft voice drifted through. "You left too soon, Nathan." He froze. The house door creaked open. Something stepped out. Tall, jointed, grinning. Nathan turned the key desperately. The engine sputtered, coughed, finally roared to life. He sped backward, tires spitting gravel. The creature stepped into the road light, head twitching. He floored the gas. He didn't stop until he reached the station. He filed no report. He told no one. But over the next week, his hands wouldn't stop shaking. He barely slept. When he did, he dreamt of the house whispering his name. And then, on the 8th night, he heard something at his apartment wall. A soft, rhythmic tapping, just like in the Marwick House. Nathan pressed his ear to the drywall. Something whispered from inside. "You belong to me now." The wall bulged. Something pale pushed forward. The house had followed him. And in Ashford, no one leaves until they're hollowed.